Hello ladies and gentlemen, Aski here for NerfTV with a hero overview for Strife. Today let's look at Ace. Ace is a melee hero who packs a punch with a mixture of AoE and single target magic spells. He can be built out to be a tanky bullet magnet and to get up in front and block skill shots while applying slows and some AoE damage, or you can take him the DPS route and focus on upping his magic damage and mana pool to allow him to combine skills more effectively for big bursts of damage. Let's discuss his skills first. So first of all, you always want to get Avalanche. This will give you a gap closer and an AoE slow, which can be useful for punishing enemy heroes who either overextend in the early game, as well as being a viable means of escape if you're getting ganked. The slow is a whopping 50%, and that's enough to stop a target from fleeing and allow your lane partner to bring them down. Upping the skill will only improve damage, so a single point will suffice, as all you really want it for is the jump and the slow. With this in mind, the next skill to get is Spinnacle. This is an AoE damage spell that deals a good amount of magic damage to anyone nearby. This can be used in combination with Avalanche to damage heroes or as a way to farm creeps more effectively. However, Ace has some serious mana issues, so don't overuse it as you'll leave yourself at great risk. Next, you either want to put a point in Spinnacle again, giving you greater damage, or you can go a more tanky route and pick up Frostbite. This gives you a 5-second barrier which will reduce incoming damage from the next 4 shots you take. With each blocked attack, it will fire out an icy missile that will apply a stacking 20% slow. This is a great skill to counter potential early bursts from heroes like Rook, as it will deal substantial damage to them and slow them before they know what's really hit them, allowing you to close in for the kill. At level 4, you want to take the same skill as at level 3 and either up your damage or defense depending on your choice of build. At level 5, I like to put another point into Avalanche, as I find that with the ulti at level 6, the extra damage gives a better chance of early kills. As I mentioned, at level 6 get your ultimate, Ace in the Hole. This is a single target high damage magic attack that makes a fantastic finisher. If you've gone down the damage route, you can now combine Avalanche for initiation, a slow and a bit of damage, Spinnacle for further damage, and Ace in the Hole as a finisher. It's a great combination if you've gone for a damage focused build and you can quickly bring down a glass cannon hero. If you're a more defense focused, you'll want to have your lane partner get the kill, but Ace in the Hole will still be useful for the damage no matter what. From here on in, either max Spinnacle or Frostbite depending on your preferred build. If you've gone for damage dealing, pick up Frostbite after you max Spinnacle. This will give you some extra defense in the team fights and max out Avalanche last. If you're defense focused, get Avalanche maxed before Spinnacle, as the slow will help more in the team fights as you won't be able to deal that much damage anyway. Of course, pick up your ultimate at levels 11 and 15. These two skill routes maximise Ace's potential at key points in the game, allowing him to either be a great damage dealer or a meat shield in team fights, as well as supporting your team with slows no matter what. For your pair, either Tortoise for health and defense or Mystic for mana regeneration and spells. Both are fine options in my opinion. So next up, let's get on to the items. You want to take Healing Rod as a must. It will give you health and mana to Ace upon activation, as you're likely to take quite a bit of harassment in the early game. It's a great choice. As I also mentioned, Ace has mana issues and this will be a bit of help with that. On top of that, also take a health and mana potion. You're going to be buying potions quite a lot as Ace, as you really need a lane partner who's good at last hitting in the early game to keep you up on the gold. He burns mana very fast, so try to keep at least a mana potion on you at all times to give fast recovery so you can be prepared for any fights that might occur. Next up are the boots. So there are 3 options here. The first are the power boots. If you're going to go attack damage, this is the way to roll, as they're cheap and will add to your early game damage. Another option are the warp boots. These are good regardless of build, as they allow Ace to be where he's needed the most. With these you can teleport to any allied unit or building, allowing him to get across the map and assist in teamfights very quickly. They also give him 75 movement speed, the highest constant movement speed of any boots. The last option is Inertia Boots. These add health and a CC purge. If you're going flat out tank, these can be a good choice. If you're planning on going for a tank build, you really want to assess what the enemy has for its damage. If it's more magic or physical focused, this will greatly affect the items you buy, and to go for it all would take ages, so I'm going to run for a few great ones that you can pick up, but really think for yourself a little bit here. Barrier Token or Golden Protector are nice if the enemy team is focused on one particular kind of damage. If not, Dragon Shield is a great item. It gives added damage as well as some HP and a shield. Even if you take Token or Protector first, Dragon Shield should be a great next item. After that, getting something with a little mana regen is a wise move. Cleric's Chalice is a cheap option that will also give you some HP recovery, or Hexbane, which also adds to your damage, your mana regeneration, as well as giving some utility in the form of a Hex, but it is quite pricey. Just make sure you get the mana regeneration components first as you're building the item. Lastly, focus on whatever you need the most defense from. Guardian Helm for added magic armor, or Iceforge Plate for more physical defense. Stone Skin can also be good if you didn't take inertia boots at the start, and if you find you're kicking the enemy team's butt, you can get some extra damage from Inferno Brand, and that can be a good way to go. It gives you constant damage around you, as well as a little bit more damage and health. So that's the route for the more tanky build. For attack build, I would go something like this. You either have the power boots or the warp boots, and next up get the crystalline shiv. This will give you extra damage while at max HP, as well as giving you some extra mana regeneration, which you would desperately need. Sometimes I find myself needing a little bit more HP, and I will pick up a health shard just before getting the shiv to allow me to stay in the lane a little bit better, but that's something that depends on how the game is going. Next up, the Dragon Shield is great. You can either use the health shard from earlier here if you needed it, and it will also add to your damage and survivability. Grimoire is next. This ups your magic regeneration further, and your need for mana potions is lessened, saving you some money further down the match, as well as giving a boost to your damage and mana pool. It will also make your spells ignore 35% of magic defense, giving you good damage on enemy team tanks in teamfights. Inferno Brand is next. This gives some defense as well as health, but also boosts your damage, giving you a 500 radius magic passive that deals damage around you, essentially making it like you're always spinning and making you extra effective when you get in the middle of a team fight. The last item is the Power Conduit. This gives you a big boost to your damage, making you a deadly force, but it also adds to your HP and mana pools. Kills will also restore mana, which is great. The damage route makes Ace a great fight initiator. Avalanche followed by Spinnacle, bringing a whole group of targets down to 30 to 50% HP. Your ranged DPS can then finish them off. Ace in the hole is also a great way to help focus down an important target and deal some massive damage to them. During the early game, you want to have a good lane partner. Someone who's ranged and good at last hitting is great. You want to leave them to focus mainly on last hitting the creeps with a little bit of your assistance. This gets the gold coming in and keeps you stocked up on mana pots. Your job will be mainly harassing and scaring the enemy team back from creeps, costing them money and experience. Into the mid game, you want to maintain a global presence as much as possible. If you have the warp boots, keep an eye on all three lanes and help out wherever you can. If not, make sure you at least support your lane and mid. When it comes to bosses, you're not the best. As a tank, you can soak up the damage well, but you need good DPS to help. Your roles here will be mainly tanking or being prepared for the enemy team to come in to gank you. When it comes to team fights, you want to get in the middle. Initiate with Avalanche followed by Spinnacle, and make sure you get Frostbite up just before jumping in. This will give your team the chance to rush in and begin their attacks to stop the enemy from being able to retreat. You're going to become the focus of their attacks very quickly, so if you're DPS built, get your rotation off, hopefully pick up a kill with Ace in the hole, and then get out the middle of the fight. Unless you're routing the enemies and have strong numbers advantage. If you're more tank based, you want to still use the same rotation, but make sure you're blocking skill shots wherever possible. Dragon Shield and Frostbite will give you some great damage mitigation initially, and you should take advantage of that. You'll continue this routine into the late game. Always keep in mind that your damage on towers and generators isn't that much, and you're better focused on the enemy heroes, letting the carriers bring down the buildings. So that's our guide for Ace and a couple basic builds. Stay tuned for more Strife guides and videos, but for now I've been ASCII here for NavTV. Thank you for watching.